Namaskar. Inspired Talks of Swami Vivekananda. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suray Sachit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Netapaharine. So, the discussion was going on July 25th, 1895. Swamiji has been talking about spiritual life, spiritual practices in the light of yoga. So he had been talking about different things and talked about ahimsa and explained why ahimsa is so important, not to injure others. And before that, Swamiji explained how whether you do it or get it done, or you have consent, assent, whatever, you are equally guilty. From here, Swamiji moves on to three very important concepts, and we'll try to cover all the three today itself. First one is the guru, person who can lead you to God. And with guru is connected God. Then action, acts that we perform. And finally, brahmacharya. So these are the three discussions we will have today. See, this concept of guru, this is typical of Hindu religion. You don't have this concept in other religions. And as far as Christianity is concerned, there is the Bible and there is church. In Islam, Quran is everything. And Sikhism, it came up with the concept of Guru Granth Sahib, where the holy text itself is Guru. Sorry. So Sikhism is somewhere, as far as Guru, concept of Guru is concerned, it is say in between Hinduism and Islam. And in fact, as far as practices of Sikhism are concerned, it has taken from both religions. Guru Nanak Ji, Guru Nanak Sahib, he was at a time when both Islam and Hinduism were powerful in India, definitely in Punjab. However, Guru in all its aspects, those of you who understand Bengali can listen to our talk on Guru, which I delivered some years ago. Is there on the YouTube, Guru. The idea is that you know of spiritual matters only from a perfect Guru. Unless the words come from the right person, the words remain words. So you may say, what about other religions? What about other religions where there is no concept of Guru? They have made the system such that whatever is delivered from the church is accepted as valid. And that's why you have, as far as spirituality is concerned, there is a fundamental difference between religiosity and spirituality. Religiosity focuses more on rituals, practices. Spirituality is about your connect with the God. So these are two different things, absolutely two different things. Now, every religion has spirituality at its core. Every religion. Because if a religion doesn't have spirituality at its core, it will not be a religion. Spirituality is when there is an individual's connection with the God. Today's language, connect with the God. And the aspiration is God and God alone. When this principle is applied to the society, some practices, some stories, some rituals, they evolve. One feels that whatever the master did or said, the way he talked, the way he walked, if I also do that, I too can become perfect. That's how a religion is born. But with time, people become more religious. That means they focus too much on certain acts. This problem is there with every religion. And when they say that every religion has its shortcomings, essentially it means that every religion has shortcoming because people think that the practices that they are performing are more than enough. Worse, they think that these practices can take them to God, which is not possible. So, this concept of guru, this is unique to Hindu religion. And this concept is not there even in Buddhism. Now, because it is not there in Buddhism, the concept of guru, so we had this J. Krishnamurti, Jiddu Krishnamurti, who became a great teacher and he had all his Hindu followers. He had foreigners too, but mostly Hindu followers. And he was consistently attacking this concept of guru and disciple. It was all because his fundamental training was in Buddhism, and what he was teaching was a mixture of Buddhism and Vedanta. Of course, he never claimed that. He always told that whatever he was saying, it was his own. But, I mean, great man he was, and people listened to him. One thing that I could not understand, I've read quite a few books of his without really getting impressed. Thing is, if you really oppose the concept of guru, what you are yourself doing, you yourself are becoming teacher. You say that give up guru and listen to what I say. So essentially, you mean to say that you are not taking up the position of a guru, the way gurus are seen in Hinduism. But just to listen to you, the moment I listen to you, you become my guru. The concept of guru ranges from being an ordinary teacher to the ultimate level where a person can help you get rid of Maya, get rid of the world. So you see, this is the problem. And that's why I'm extremely suspicious of every modern teacher, particularly those who claim that it is his own teaching. They're just not to be trusted. Unless you have a huge tradition. For example, if Krishnamurti had said that whatever he is teaching is from Buddha, one can understand. And that would have been appreciable. So when you teach something, when you say something, it must be backed by a tradition of perfected persons. Because what you are teaching is your understanding of reality. Now, do you claim yourself to be a Brahmagyani? Do you claim yourself to have realized truth? If yes, well, we will wait for 100 years, we will wait for 200 years to judge you. We have now reached more or less that point where we can judge Sri Ramakrishna, we can judge Swami Vivekananda. But even for Krishnamurti, it's too early. Now, if you become, or rather, if you are made a god in your own lifetime, there has to be something extremely suspicious about it. In that case, we will have to look at the life and character of the disciples. Now, Sri Ramakrishna was accepted as God by some, not by all, remember. And a fad was not made out of his being God. If you look at the disciples that he had during his own time, persons like Swami Vivekananda and Swami Brahmananda and Swami Turyananda, you will see what transformation these people had undergone. Now, when you look at these modern gurus who claim themselves to be Bhagwan, semi Bhagwan, you find that their disciples continue to be what they were. And then you become suspicious, both of the disciple and the teachers. Someone calls himself a Paramhamsa, someone calls himself a Hamsa, someone calls himself this. That is not what Hindu religion says. Hindu religion says that if you look at the Upanishads, Upanishads are the best source for guru. Sorry. Then in Gita also, there's not much about guru. It's hinted. Of course, the whole of Gita is discourse between guru and a disciple. But when it comes to Puranic traditions and Vaishnava tradition, guru becomes extremely important, extremely important. Upanishads lay down 3 points. If we sum up all that we have in our scriptures, in simple words, you can say that guru has to have an immaculate character, absolutely pure, no weakness for sex in whatever form. Because if you have weakness for sex, it's clear that your mind is still in the world. And you must be unselfish. That means you should not even be running after wealth, directly or indirectly. Someone says that he needs money to build a temple. Well, it's your money, whatever you may say. And that's why I always keep saying be suspicious of any teacher who is surrounded by females and who has wealth directly or indirectly. In Ramakrishna Mission, there are buildings, but the whole thing is absolutely impersonal. It's not any one person's property. So, Kamini Kanchan, purity, unselfishness. And then comes learning. Are you established in the traditional learning? Do you know what the Vedas have said? Do you know what the Upanishads have said? Not your understanding, but the traditional understanding. Otherwise, you are not to be trusted. See what happens. Those of you who have been listening to these talks seriously would know that, dear all, I mean, all of you, if you do some practices for some time with a focused mind, let's say you simply say Om, simply Om, 1 hour a day, maybe for 6 months, some yogic powers will come to you. They're bound to come. If you do Gayatri Japam for 1 hour a day, in 6 months you will have some power. You yourself will realize it. Now, supposing somebody has done some sadhana, maybe 5 to 6 hours a day, maybe for 10, 12 years, you can imagine the kind of power that person will have. Now, when this person has this power, that person can get results in this very life or maybe in some future life. We don't know in which life. And it can come in various forms. One of those various forms is recognition. So, popularity can never be a test of greatness. Why? Popularity very clearly shows that you have done sadhana, no doubt about it. Maybe in this life, maybe in the previous life, no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean that you are a perfect. In fact, if you are truly a perfect person, very few people can go near you. Popularity itself shows that you are not perfect because if you are perfect, you'll be talking about things that a common man will not understand very easily, and will definitely be not able to relate. Just imagine the popularity of Keshav Chandra Sen in comparison to Sri Ramakrishna's popularity. Very few people came to Sri Ramakrishna. Think of a film star, popularity of a film star, as compared to, say, Swami Vivekananda. So, see, these are practical things. However, here the issue is I need a teacher. To whom should I go? First, just check if he's surrounded by fan following. If yes, I mean physically, be suspicious. Surrounded by wealth, be suspicious. Is he established in knowledge? Not only of Vedanta, Vedanta, Vedanga, all three should be trusted. It can be trusted. And most importantly, is his life God centric, devoted to meditation, contemplation, or in general, God centric? If he appears regularly on television, regularly in newspapers, there has to be something suspicious about that person. Now, the Indian tradition says that Guru can light the divine spark within you. And in some very special cases, God can even remove the veil of Maya completely. Swami says, take refuge in some soul who has already broken his bondage, and in time, he'll free you through his mercy. It's a very interesting thing. Now, here we are not in the first step, we are just discussing human guru. By human guru, I mean he's not an avatar. Those of you who have read my book Param, when I was writing Param, this idea was continuously moving in my head about the lost prince. In Param, just forms a very small section in which there is this prince and a big festival is going on in the palace. But somehow he wants to enjoy differently, and he exchanges his royal clothes for ordinary and goes out of the back gate. And once he goes out of the back gate, he moves around, looks at the world, looks at the society, and finally he gets bored. Now he wants to go back to the palace. Because he wants to go back to the palace, he wants to enter the palace once again. The gatekeeper won't let him enter because he doesn't recognize him. And he now needs a dress, a proper dress. He goes and gets some kind of dress, proper dress. Dress of a beggar, dress of a farmer, dress of a soldier, dress of this person, that person, a commoner. But every time he's turned away. Seeing his plight, one gentleman, he has some feeling that there is something special about this person. They say that, okay, we need a royal robe. How to get it? So this prince now has to work to earn something so that he can get a royal robe. He works, he earns, and finally gets the royal robe. He puts on the royal robe, comes back at the gate, and somebody from the palace instantly recognizes the prince. Oh God, it's our lost prince. Open the gates. He was prince all along, and the prince had kind of this desire to see the society, see the world. When he wanted to come back, he won't be allowed because he was not in the royal robe. Me, you, all. We all want to enter the kingdom of heaven, as Jesus said, the palace. But we won't be allowed entry simply because we are not in the right dress, royal robe. Now, when the prince was entering, he suddenly felt that there were people who had helped him, people who had become close to him, two, three, five persons. And he instructs the gatekeeper, now he's a prince. Let these people too enter. Oh, word of prince is command. Wish of prince is command. The gates are open for them too. Well, this exactly is what happens in spirituality. We are all like the lost prince. All of us have a very strong desire to go back to the palace. But we are in a beggar's dress. We are in a worker's dress. We cannot be allowed inside. We need to acquire the royal. What is that royal dress? The royal dress is of complete detachment. We may be conscious of what we are putting on. A king is not. Is not bothered. You might have seen that executives of a big corporate house, they always dress well. But the owner of such big companies, they don't care in what dress they are. The top man doesn't care unless he has to impress. The king doesn't have to impress anyone. And he has hundreds of such dresses, maybe thousands. Why would you bother about this and that? We have only one dress, so we are worried. Exactly this is what happens. But mind it, dear listeners, the story that I quoted you from my book Param is just a story. It is not to be taken literally. But the idea is absolutely clear. Exactly this is what happens. Guru. Guru, if he's a perfect person spiritually, he or she can remove the darkness that is within you, within me. But he won't. Why should he? In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, this is a very beautiful statement by Thakur where he says, some people come and say that, okay, if there is a God, and if somebody has seen the God, let him show God to me too. And Sri Ramakrishna says, who cares? Why would anybody do that? And yet, when Narendranath Datta, Swami Vivekananda, the future, when he came and asked, Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, I have seen. And I can show that to you too. See the difference? In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you come across something different. And He did an entirely different thing with Swami Vivekananda. Why? Because there was that bond, there was that link. Now, we, the unfortunate ones, we neither have that royal robe, nor we have that bond, nor we have that bond. Now, supposing there is a guru, let's say, here I belong to Ramakrishna Mission, I know only about the Ramakrishna Mission. My knowledge about the monks outside and the perfected beings outside is absolutely meager. Only absolutely, absolutely meager. I've seen the monks here, and sometimes out of fun, I might have asked some senior monk this and that. However, when it comes to asking seriously, I don't dare ask seriously any senior monk, like say Bhutishanji Maharaj, that Maharaj, please remove my darkness. There is a very interesting story. Once a devotee from Kolkata came to Belur Math long ago. It's a story we heard in tradition, and said and asked one of the senior monks, Swamiji, Maharajji, have you seen God? That senior monk laughed at him and said, look, you are not Swami Vivekananda, and I am not a Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Neither you have the authority to listen to, hear to this answer, nor have I the authority to say such a thing. Very interesting thing. People are curious to know this and that. Do you have the competence? Do you have the patrata? That's the right word, patrata. No, you don't have. Why should I talk to you? See, nowadays, now with YouTube and all, many people, they come, ask questions, want to talk. Oh, what should I talk to you? Do you have any patrata? Do you have any competence? Have you studied any scripture thoroughly? Have you listened to any of the series of talks fully of mine and tried to understand and worked on it? No, you have not. That means when you want to know about God, when you want to know about soul, it is all time pass. Well, there was a time when I had a lot of time and I could indulge in time pass. Now, at this age when my energies are going down, my vitality is going down, I cannot afford to waste time. I need to conserve my time. I need to save every minute or time that I have to you to grow myself. The problem, people don't understand the basics. Questions are asked only when you have mastered a subject. And then you ask questions based on that subject. What Swamiji is talking about here is that if you are indeed a seeker, you want spiritual growth, you will have that competence, you will have that preparedness, you will have that patrata. And if there is guru, now we are talking about guru of second stage. First was one who is pure, who is unselfish, and who is established in the knowledge of Shastras. Now, here we assume that this person has realization, and like that last prince, he has the authority of taking somebody with him. Third, of course, is the masters. Persons like Jesus. Why I say Jesus? Because if you look at his disciples, If you want to know if this person was truly a master, if you want to know if he was truly God, never try to judge that person. Always judge his disciples. Just look at the lives of the disciples of Jesus. Just look at the lives of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, and you know how great they were. And what about Sri Krishna? We know of one disciple. Sri Krishna actually had many disciples. But and what he told his disciple is the major scripture of Hindu religion today, Gita. Imagine one discourse. That is the main scripture of the Hindus today. Imagine. If he is not God, who is God? One discourse. Given maybe within 2 hours or so. 1 hour maybe. This is the power of God. And not only the darkness of the disciple went away, for thousands of years it's removing the darkness of followers of Hindu religion. And it is the greatest gift of India to the world, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Non-sectarian. You don't have to believe in Krishna. You don't have to believe in Arjuna. Just you can remove and you can put any name. It's as good. This is the power of God. This kind of guru removes your darkness if he wishes so. He is not one of those lost princes. He is the king who cannot be stopped from entering the gate by anyone. The gatekeeper knows who he is. Seeing him come from any distance and any direction and in any dress, the gatekeeper will salute. Maya will salute. Well, Swami says he will free you through his mercy. I got one sentence and we spent half an hour. So he says, but that's all right. But beyond that, higher still is to take refuge in the Lord. In Vaishnava tradition, that has given us this idea of guru with such powers. It says to look at guru as God. Sri Ramakrishna also says the same. However, he says the real enlightenment, the real teaching, the real strength comes from God Himself. God Himself becomes Guru. So, what about Guru from whom you have taken Mantra Diksha initiation? Is the Word of God, is the Word of God that has come through different channels to your Guru, and he is passing on the wisdom that was Guru's. Take the case of Gita. Those of you who are interested, we have delivered talks on Gita in English. This is also in Bengali. I explained Gita fully, completely. And these are not my words. These are the words of Lord Krishna himself. Similarly, the mantra that you get from your Guru comes from God himself. Now, Swamiji is explaining that higher still is to take refuge in the Lord Ishwar. Ishwar is one who is within you as Antaryamin, the inmost essence of you. He is also the ruler of the whole universe. The word Ishwar itself means to rule, to govern. Says higher. compared to getting a guru is going directly to Ishwar. But it is the most difficult. It is very difficult to go directly to Guru. Once in a century can one be found who has really done it. However, if you look at the world of religions, if you look at the masters, the history of the masters, you'll find that it rarely has happened. Abraham was one who went directly. Moses probably was one who went directly. Zoroaster was one. Prophet Muhammad was one. Sri Ramakrishna was. So these are few people, and there must have been some more who might be saints who went directly. One wonderful example about whom we will see maybe in the next or next to next class, Yagyavalkya. He said, I don't want any human guru. So he went to sun god and prayed to him. And his intensity was such that Surya, the sun god, he came and taught him the Veda. So very often people say that, well, I don't want a human guru. I want God Himself as guru. That's not easy. One can think that way. It doesn't work out. And Swamiji himself says we have the authority of Swami Vivekananda here, who says once in a century it happens like this. And how do you devote yourself to God? How do you dedicate? How do you surrender? How do you really get the teaching from God? Was a way, the direct way to God, where you don't need a medium. It was easy for J. Krishnamurti to say that you don't need a guru. But what is the process? Swami Vivekananda says, feel nothing, know nothing, do nothing, have nothing. Give up all to God and say utterly, thy will be done. Now, is it possible for us? It's not possible. It's just not possible. When it says, feel nothing, know nothing, do nothing, have nothing, give up all to God. Is that possible? For ordinary mortals like us? No, it's not possible. It's just not possible. When you have a human guru, when there is a physical guru, it is easy to connect with him. He says something and we try to listen to him, we try to carry out his orders. We fail. And then we go back to our guru, ask for forgiveness. It's easy for us. But asking for forgiveness from an impersonal God, is that possible? Maybe one in a century can do. But for a common man, no, it's not possible. Asking for forgiveness from an impersonal God, is it that possible? No. That is why we need Vigraha, idols. But people of lesser intellect cannot understand these things. Sad how such a wonderful thing like spirituality got into the wrong hands and got completely contorted. What we get in the name of religion is nothing, just a desire to capture power. And in that struggle to capture power, any bloodshed, any politics, anything will go. If you really want to go to God, then say, thy will be done. You just surrender completely. There's no sense of I. Actually, we do not know how some of these masters did perform sadhana. But about Sri Ramakrishna, we know in detail. Those of you who might have read the book, The Great Master by Swami Samarpanananda ji, you will find how Sri Ramakrishna has merged himself completely into Mother Kali. And it's gone so fully, so completely, that his own ideas has merged completely with Mother Kali. And yet he is not able to have the vision and says, I would rather give up my life. Well, that's it. Take refuge in God. Only so can we cross the desert of Maya. Now, irrespective of what kind of guru you have chosen, the first type, who is learned, who is pure, who is unselfish. Second one, who is a little higher, who might be established in God fully. And the third, incarnation. Now, incarnations do not grow on trees. You cannot have incarnation like that. So, your purpose at every step must be to transcend Maya. Anything less than that, any desire less than that, means you are at the wrong place. You don't require a guru, you need something entirely different. Take refuge in God. Only so we can cross the desert of Maya. If you're taking refuge in God for any other purpose, then something is seriously wrong. And then Swamiji quotes from his own poem, let go thy whole sannyasin, bowl, say, Om, Tat Sat, Om. Let go of everything. Let go, let go, let go. Every spiritual seeker, in essence, is a sannyasi. The monks, the sannyasin, they put on ochre robe, gerua. Sometimes nowadays in India also they have started calling it orange. Yeah, it's not orange, ochre, gerua. The idea is to tell the world that look, the way a dog puts on a collar, that indicates that he has a master. A dog has a master. This dress shows that I have a master. That master is God. So stay away from me. There's a very beautiful story about Jim Corbett. That when he was staying in near Nainital, Kaladungi. So he used to kill only the man-eaters, and he was deep into preservation of these tigers. However, the government gave license to kill tigers, and one such person shot one tiger. He had permission to do so. So Jim Corbett wrote a sad note to that person. Sir, I am so sad to see that you killed one of our tigers. And that gentleman, they were learned people. He replied beautifully, I would have never shot the tiger if it had been wearing a collar of your name. There is no collar. I can shoot it. It's a beautiful thing. Here is a monk. He has put on the collar, not the color, collar. And that collar says, owned by God. Owned by God means a sannyasi is not supposed to have any will, anything of his own. But that is the sadhana of every seeker, anyone who has taken to the path of spirituality has to practice this. Just that that person doesn't have the collar. But Whether or not you have a collar, the goal is the same, the way is the same. Swamiji moves on to charity and says, charity is something we discussed many times. In Christianity, charity plays a very important role. In Islam also, charity plays a very important role. Says, it is our privilege to be allowed to be charitable. Says, it's our privilege. For only so can we grow. Through charity, you get established in unselfishness. I keep telling people that what you can do in 100 rupees, you can also do in 95. Donate 5% of your income. Now, people who are earning maybe 1 lakh a month, and nowadays in India, many earn 1 lakh a month. Not everyone, but many. So that makes 5,000 a month. Annually, it goes to 60,000 rupees. And in 1 year, if a person has to donate 60,000, he will get a heart attack. Because 60,000 is a big sum in India even today. But a person who is on way to giving up everything, should he really care for these things? Mind it. It's about the spiritual seekers. Are you a spiritual seeker? Then you must do it. There's a famous joke that there was a quarrel between a couple, and the wife, she threatened to go commit suicide by drowning herself in a river. It was raining, and the husband says, look, it's raining, take this umbrella. So the wife returned to take the umbrella. Husband says, you are scared of this rain and you think you can drown yourself in a river. You feel miserly when you have to donate. And you think you can give up everything. Actually, it's very simple to think of giving up everything which is not with us. Only when something is with us that we realize its value. And if we are dependent on that thing, then we can never do that. When people say that, see, I know many people who say that, oh, how I wish in my next life I'm a monk. You can't practice charity in this life. You can't practice unselfishness in this life. You can't practice brotherly love with all. We had a monk, he wrote one book on universal brotherhood. And that monk was a very famous monk. And it was very difficult to put up with him. Like most people who were sent to his center were transferred. So when he wrote his book, Universal Brotherhood, he came to one of the senior monks. He looked at the book and says, oh, wonderful, Universal Brotherhood. And who has written it? The person with whom no one can stay. See, you are not established in charity. Look, those of you who think that you can be spiritual, maybe in the next life, what qualities you have developed in this life? Tell me. Have you conquered anger? Have you conquered selfishness? Are you established in gifting? Things like that. The qualities that a monk is supposed to have? No. Well, it's always good to have ambition. It's always good to have a goal. Don't expect to be fulfilled. When we were kids, we also had many goals. Charity. The poor man suffers that we may be helped. It is a beautiful. When I had read it first, I had loved it. Poor man suffers. Why? So that we can become great. Swamiji, of course, taunts, not that he wants, not that he wanted people to be poor. He himself had seen the face of poverty, and it was pretty bad. He had suffered poverty, and when he was moving around the country, he had moved around begging for food from door to door. India was poor in those days, and there were many days when he didn't even get a bread. So, not that he wanted that India or the world or anyone stayed poor. He's just saying that they are suffering. So if you serve them, you will become great. You are not obliging them, mind it. When a teacher teaches in school, let me tell you one personal evidence, it's a wonderful thing. When I read Swamiji's concept on Shraddha, which means respect, kind of commitment, and I loved it. And whenever I get a chance to speak, I always talk about Shraddha. This is one of my very favorite qualities, Shraddha. Once I had been to Vrindavan, and from there I was invited at some college in Mathura. And there I delivered a talk, and then I said, I talked about Shraddha. And I said, students should have Shraddha for their teachers, and students should have Shraddha for learning. Similarly, teachers should have Shraddha, respect for teaching, and they should have respect for the students, towards the students. So then there was a vote of thanks, and one senior teacher got up and said, "Oh, Swamiji spoke about me wonderfully, but I couldn't really agree with him about teacher having Shraddha for students." I didn't say anything. I understood that it's beyond him to understand. And he said, a teacher should have love, teacher should have concern for his students. No, you should have Shraddha. Why? Because it is through them, it is through those students that a teacher grows up to be a teacher. It's the baby with the help of whom a mom becomes a mom. A lady, uncontrolled, unbridled, becomes a mom. I had heard one story about a very senior and extremely respected monk. He was in Devghar, it's a very famous school, maybe 1940s, 50s. I was not even born at that time. I had heard this wonderful story. Devghar is a residential school, Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit, Devghar. And after the vacation, when the school was about to reopen, the day before, that means tomorrow the students will start arriving, he used to have a meeting with all the monks in Gerua, Akar, and the young ones known as brahmacharis in white, and the teachers whoever were there. And he would say, tomorrow, child Narayan are coming. Bal Narayan, Bal Gopal, they are coming. Make sure that there is not the slightest of shortcoming in their service. So I was so amazed. My God, what a thought. When a customer goes to a shop, he must have the respect for the goods that he's going to purchase and for the shopkeeper because he's maintaining all that. He's investing his time, he's investing his money and energies so that we can be provided. Similarly, the shopkeeper has to be grateful to the customer that he's learning the tricks in business and is able to run his own family. If you look at this whole universe, you look at the society, you find that we all are growing. We all are growing. I remember one of my acharyas, teachers, he had told me that, look, it's so sad that very often our monks go to deliver talks without any preparation. And he also had used this term, they do not have this shraddha for the audience. When you come to deliver a talk, you should have respect for the knowledge that you are going to discuss. And you should have respect for the people who are listening because they have come prepared to listen to you. Have respect for that. You are not superior. You are getting a chance to serve them so that you yourself can become perfect. So, so well, there is suffering because if you serve them, you become great. Your charity doesn't help anybody. So let the giver kneel down and give thanks. Let the receiver stand up and permit. This comes from Manu Smriti. Manu says that there should be mutual shraddha. See the Lord back of every being and give to him. Must see that anyone whom you are serving is Lord. As I explained, as I narrated this incident from Devgar. Yashoda, the foster mother of Sri Krishna, she served Sri Krishna, Lord Krishna. He was a Lord. How she was serving, she didn't know that he is Lord. Even then, it's that kind of feeling it has to be. And when we cease to see evil, the world must end for us, since to rid us of that mistake the is its only object. In this world, we keep on seeing evil. The world means duality. The world is duality. There is birth and death, there is good and bad, happiness and misery. Stop looking at something, looking at one aspect, and the world will cease to exist. When you stop seeing evil, when you stop seeing evil in poverty, when you stop seeing evil in character, when you stop seeing evil in this, that, the world will cease to exist for you. See, what a concept. How to get rid of this world? Very simple. Getting rid of duality is so difficult. So get rid of the negative. You see negative because your mind is full of rajas and tamas. Your mind has a lot of blackness. Your mind has darkness, and that is why you see evil. And that is why you see the poor are suffering. Go serve them. Okay, fine. They suffer from wants, there is no doubt about it. But that is not because of some evil. Anyone can have some kind of want. You have some kind of want, I have some kind of want, that person has some other kind of want. Don't see evil. Stop seeing evil, and you will become great. To think there is any imperfection creates it. How does evil come in our mind? Because we see imperfection. The moment you see imperfection, evil enters. There's a problem with most of the ethical systems, like Buddhism. Lord Buddha saw dukkha in everything. Everything was dukkha, dukkha. Why? He saw the world as an imperfect place. Why should world be an imperfect place? World is manifestation of God. Why should there be any imperfection? Imperfection lies in your head, not in the world. Thoughts of strength and perfection alone can cure it. Go on talking about strength, go on talking about perfection. If you feel that there is some kind of shortcoming, some kind of want, don't see it as imperfection. Go supply the strength, go supply the perfection. Can you do it? If you can't, keep shut at least. Keep supplying this message of strength. Keep supplying the message of perfection. The world will probably continue to be as it was, but you will become perfect. Do what good you can. Some evil will inherit it, but do all without regard to personal result. Give up all results to the Lord, then neither good nor evil will affect you. Coming back to seeing God as Guru, God is important. So do anything you want. You work and offer all the results to Lord. Lord, whatever good, whatever bad I have done, it's at your feet. And then you'll see that it doesn't mind you. You become free. What Swamiji is talking about is that we, and particularly the Christians, they have this problem of sin. They have this problem of evil. Evil. They even see lack of wealth and lack of education as evil. No, it's not evil. It's God's manifestation, and through that you can become perfect. And if you think that there is some shortcoming, not imperfection, mind it. Go, supply strength, supply perfection. You will become blessed. Thank you so much. We continue with next talk.